Anyway, it was 10 days ago when the Metropolitan Police released a slightly troubling statement that equivocated over the meaning of the word jihad. This was in light of a rally held in central London by known Islamist group Hizb ut-Tahrir, which called for jihad and for Muslim armies to intervene in Israel. It wasn't a particularly good look for the police, especially considering Lord Anderson told State of the Nation that the police have the powers to deal with the problem. But in a decision that has echoed the disturbing scenes of anti-Semites tearing down posters of Israeli hostages in Hamas captivity across the country, Metropolitan Police officers have been filmed tearing down the same posters themselves in Edgware in North London. The Met duly responded with an explanation stating that it was a matter of de-escalation between two parties. And I appreciate the difficult position the Met finds itself in. But as this is a civil matter, not a criminal one, ought the police to have been involved? Well, it's also happened in Greater Manchester. And the highly respected Chief Constable, Stephen Watson, has admitted they got it wrong, but there was no malicious intent. Now, Mr. Watson, if you're listening, that is so refreshing and amazing, because the police never apologise and say, we made a mistake. And when that happens, it makes everyone recognise you've got a fiendishly difficult job, and that you're doing the best you possibly can, and that inevitably occasional mistakes will be made. So thank you to Chief Constable Watson, who has been restoring confidence in the police in Manchester. Isn't that unusual? You're a criminal barrister. You must...
It is unusual. And the MPC in London, appalling, allowing these things to happen. You've got 100,000 demonstrators. Now, not all of them want to kill the Jews, but there are a few who do. Why haven't they been arrested?
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, if this is de-escalation, Jacob, it's one-sided de-escalation. Because it seems on the one hand, the police are saying that posters calling for the release of the hostages are offensive. On the other hand, posters calling for the destruction, the genocide of the Jewish people are not offensive. I'm sorry, that there's no balance there whatsoever. The police have actually, the two good signs is they have actually started lifting a few people for this. But this nonsense about does jihad mean an internal struggle in which you sort of you have an internal crusade? I mean, we all know exactly what it means. Now, you can't arrest 100,000 people. I mean, I think that would be ludicrous. But the most egregious examples, and for me, the one where people should be getting their collars felt without a second's compunction, is the people who are abusing war memorials, who are standing around war memorials, who are standing on a cenotaph representing the selfless sacrifice of men and women in this country, and actually bringing their own foul, genocidal, ghastly death cult to it.
And just as we come up to Armistice Day as well. Now, Jerry Hayes, you're a criminal barrister, and so you know the law. Isn't there a specific law that makes it illegal to...
There's a whole number of laws under the Public Order Act. Firstly, breach of the peace, but the most important one of all, incitement against racial or religious hatred. Now, if people say, oh, we're demonstrating for Palestine to be free, that's fair enough. But if they're saying the Jews should be killed, if they're wearing those little things saying, exactly. No, that is wrong.
But isn't Stephen Pound's point a really good one, that they're de-escalating on one side, and that's a real problem with what the Met was shown doing yesterday?
I'm just really horrified. And if I was, well, I'm sort of a quarter Jewish, actually. Are Jews safe in this country? Can you say as a politician, you Jews are safe? The answer is, we can say no, because I know we've discussed this many times on this programme. But the fact of the matter is, Jewish schools have had guards for years. Jewish synagogues have had guards for years. Now they are being targeted. A little child going to school will be targeted.
And I was talking to Lee Anderson last week and with a couple of Jewish people who felt that they were victimised. One of them said, I don't feel safe in this country.
Yeah.
So I said, well, where would you feel safe? Hoping he would say somewhere like Ireland, which has no history of anti-Semitism, where there are synagogues and there are no demonstrations. But he said, the only place I feel safe is Israel. And I said, well, can you unpack that for me? And I realised what he was talking about was not actually physical safety, but it was actually emotional, psychological safety.
But it goes worse than that. You had 100,000 or so people taking to the streets. A lot of them were just in favour of freeing Palestine. A lot of them wanted to destroy the Jews, to kill the Jews. Also, what's happened to our wonderful, sleepy, decent country?
Well, I'm sorry,
And that's scary.
Jerry,
and there are going to be public order problems. There are going to be public
Jerry,
order
read
problems.
Ivanhoe. You know, we've been anti-Semitic since the 11th century.
No, we have
terrible
not.
Things. I'm sorry,
we have
awful
not.
Things.
We've
had
have
pogroms
not
in this country.
Yes, we have, but not now.
No, well, I
not
yeah.
now in our
what really infuriates me-
tolerant country.
And not since the Middle Ages.
Yeah, no, exactly. The march we talked about, what present on that march were the lice on the body politics, the Socialist Workers' Party, the Revolutionary Communist Party, setting up stalls, selling their newspapers. When you look at the photographs of the demonstrators, look at the number of posters that may say from the river to the sea, but actually at the top it says Socialist Workers' Party. I'm sorry, these are people who are leeching onto something which
it's
is
beyond that.
Genuinely felt emotion with some people, and they are actually sucking the blood.
And to come back to the police, it is difficult, but don't you think the Manchester policeman's got it right, that if something that is difficult is got wrong and you apologise, you appear stronger rather than weaker?
Of course you do.
And that if the Met had given that sort of response, it would have done them a favour.
Eventually you'll have to apologise, and the longer that you deny it, the worse it comes.
How can you have Metropolitan Police officers ripping off posters of children who have been kidnapped?
Well, particularly as it's not their job.
Of course it's not.
Since when have the police gone round clearing up graffiti? That is not what they do. They don't take down posters.
No, well, I've seen some awful stuff in Tower Hamlets and some dreadful stuff I've seen in Newham. We know this. I've seen this poster, "Carry On Killing," which is a sort of pastiche poster, which is just foul. And I actually took one down myself, because it was actually stuck outside an empty shop, just off the Mile End Road. And, I think if the police are going to take down one, they need to take down
the other.
It has to be
Absolutely right.